Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. You are joining. Welcome to I think we are in the fourth race of the Classic Day Championship, organized by Semi-Slick Racing. I am your host today, Vindict, and I will be bringing you a wonderful race at a wonderful track today. It's Monaco. Anyone will recognize this track from the back of their hand. Well, the racing drivers definitely will, and they definitely will have to, because Monaco is one of the most challenging tracks. Well, it's a country. This track, street track in there, one of the most challenging tracks in all of motorsport, and you can see why. It's very clear that the walls are not very far from the racing line. In fact, they determine where the limit is most of the time. There's only a couple of places where the curbs are actually moved in. For instance, here at turn 1, there's curbstones that are away from the wall, but you still want to send it over them, and if you do that too much, you are sent into a wall anyway, up a hill into a very fast left-hander. In Formula 1, it is on edge, it is one line, and in these cars, it is just as on edge. It is also, as you might notice, a night race, and if you are following the series, you will know that damage is on, as we've seen in some tragic instances. And most memorably for me, Ultimate Chiesa, I believe it was Guyana, where he crashed into the pit entry wall and lost the win there, or at least the opportunity to fight for it. Today, no damage. That is simply because, well, while a lot of these drivers have shown that they are very capable drivers, still not professionals, and Monaco, even to professionals, is hard to get right. The Michael in chat, hello and welcome. And there's a lot of people not in chat that are currently on the track. Let's quickly go through them. We've got Dr. Two-Face, who I think runs a lot of service in Semi-Slick Racing. He's currently in the pits. We've got London Vola, who just left from South Africa, but just left. I don't know what is going on there. I think we have a new guy here, Mr. G Foil. Will be his first outing in this series. No time yet. One person we don't have to worry about at all is Mick Schleifer. Number 12 so far, no time yet, but don't have to worry about him. He knows how this car works, and I'm sure he will have practice for this race. He'll be up there. Just how far up there? And will it be a dominant performance today? Because this is the kind of track where a good driver can make the difference. And you do see him struggle there on the chicane. I think that's in fact too far over. It might be an invalidated lap time. Not a new driver. 2 minutes on the clock is Handpflegekrem, which I think is German for some kind of hand cream. I don't know. Currently in 12th. He is struggling either with the car or the track or the combination of both of those. No shame in any of those three options, to be fair. It is a hard car, and it is a very, very difficult track. Flavor Dave, the man, the myth, the legend, the all known from the previous races in this series, clean 10th, little ways away from the lead. We've got a Sabini. Let's quickly see if we can see the first Anthony Sabini. I'm not sure if I've seen him before. He's here today. Nice so far. That's Schwarzfahrer, one of the organizers. P8 currently. Does he improve his time as he goes across the line here, which is right here? He does indeed. Really not even a position. Gaps are quite big today, and that is in parts due to the sheer difficulty of getting a good lap on this track. Just getting it right. And we'll see maybe a lot of surprise in qualifying as a result. Wujek, currently in 7th, has definitely shown a lot of pace, but I don't think his results have reflected that so far. Maybe today will be different. 7th so far, but I don't think pace will be a determining factor today. I'm quickly gonna peek again. Metal Sim VR, currently in P6. Doing good. I don't think I've seen him before either. Will be his first race today. And already up there with the big names, ahead of Wujek. We've got KRRT Dustin. Now Dustin, very well known in this community, has done a lot of good racing, and is very well known with Monaco as well. He loves this track, and he goes very well here. Hopefully we'll see that come to fruition and a good result here today as well. Kafalor also in the pits, currently P4. Seen him before. He's a very decent driver at his worst days, in fact, but shown to have some really good pace in these cars. Let's see if that results in a good result. Pan, last time out, really good race. He, I think, was incredibly happy with that. P3 right now, so he is showing to have the pace today. Then we have Valeside, new driver today. One to watch to me. He's already up there. He was up there for a long time in the session. So let's see if we have a surprise in him. No surprises from the current leader in this session, Runelink, with a 2. Runelink is a very capable driver in the F1 cars, and he's showing it again here. And his gap to the rest is surprisingly big. I know he's a capable driver, he can make any car work on any track, it's crazy. That gap is huge, and I'm not sure if that's reflective of his pace, or if it's just that people have been focusing more on the race, and Runelink has maybe done a faster run, but terrifyingly he's 4/10 up on this run, so let's see how he finishes this. But he is also someone who really enjoys pushing these cars to the limit. And you can see that he's not taking it easy. A little bit of gap between him and the wall maybe, but then again you do want to finish these runs. No point if they end in the wall. There you go, 5/10 faster. Gaps everyone, the entire field, by over a second, and that is a statement. Sure, he does that intentionally, but he does show everyone that he is the man to beat today. We have just been joined by Carlo Spicy Wiener. As I said at the time, N will be struggling with this car at first, because you have to find where the car sits in these conditions, and the rules will make it very clear if you overdo it. So it will be a quick and painful learning experience. At least damage is off today. Hopefully we don't see anyone benefiting from that in any non-realistic, well, I say non-realistic, the one was that man in NASCAR that on the last lap decided to slam his car into the wall, take the last corner at full speed, and gain a couple positions doing that. Because we don't want people abusing that today, and I don't think we'll see that. There's a lot of fair drivers here today. We've got an interesting field. Championship standings I have for you right here as well. Well, there's a bit of an artifact line there. I'm sorry about that, but we'll deal with that temporarily. But the story is very, very clear. Mick Schleifer dominant ahead. Then we've got Dustin, Kafalor, Schwarzfahrer, and Runelink and Pan all fighting for that second place, and the gaps are not very big. Runelink and Dustin have been the pace setters between those, 5 drivers. But they have had a DNF and DNS in the previous race. So that drops them down to their level. Will be their job today to set themselves aside. You can see a lot of drivers also on this list aren't here today. Hopefully we'll see a few more joining. That's still possible, as we see Carlo starting to skip a turn there. I think this is out lap, so, or at least not a legal lap, so that's forgiven. We'll see what Wujek is doing. Now, further down this list, where Wujek kind of not really in a league of his own, it's 14 points, 4 ahead, 5 behind. People can easily catch up to that, but if he has a decent race, it will be him moving forwards quicker than moving backwards. Kaimanish, Kushti, also there. I don't think we have either of those today, unfortunately. Their fight will stay where it is. But Shuking, Nico, I know has been following season a lot. Has joined one race so far. Had a good result. Obviously, we haven't seen again yet. David Kaiser. A lot of people behind that, but this championship is only just beginning. And let me quickly remove that. And we'll try to get more next time to get that artifact line removed. It was a bit of a rush job, admittedly. Alright, we do see a lot of drivers with all the sparks between the car and the wall flying out of there. They are pushing a lot harder than the car can handle. As a result, they will be hitting the walls, which will cause a little bit of friction and slow the car down. But at the very least, it will not damage them. And mostly, that is because that can happen. Things like that can happen. And the damage in Monaco builds up in the best case scenario. In a worst case scenario, you hit the wall, your car is totaled and you can retire. And that happens very easily. But it's these small mistakes, these little lapses of concentration that send your car a little bit wide. Maybe you try to overcorrect, maybe a little bit of slide there, your tail hits the wall there, take 1 or 2 damage to the suspension, which is fine, but now the car handles worse, you have to slow down. Take care more of the walls, and maybe your car slides even more, and whoops, you're in the wall again. 2 damage goes to 4, and you can see how that spirals. It's a vicious cycle that you can land in if you are not careful around Monaco. And it is the most skilled drivers that can set a result here. And I don't think the results will change so much. Well, it will change in the sense that we will have more finishes without damage. But you will still see the most consistent drivers move up top. Because hitting these walls isn't fast. Like that. It also unsettles the car, causes a little friction. It's not what you want. Now, small taps, but bounces off immediately, can be fine. That was a very tight apex though. Out of Raskas, I believe it is. He decides to slow down just so that practice completes before he hits the finish line, so he can quickly retire to the pits. Pulls it an end, makes sure that people don't have to wait. Oh, we do see a mistake from Pan there. That's the kind of mistakes that can easily happen even without any damage. Just missing the hairpin, braking a little bit late. Oh, and he's trying to push. He's trying to see what the car can and can't handle. That's definitely one of those things that it will not want to handle, because that's not fast. There's a big slide, and big drifts like that mean that a lot of your power is spent getting the car in the right direction, and your momentum is in the wrong direction. A little bit of sliding can be faster in a mistake. As long as you can keep the car under control. It's easier said than done with these though. Pan is doing very well. I didn't quite notice, but he's currently second on the list. Ooh, and he really tries to drift it around that corner. Well, it's possible with these cars. Didn't work out for him that time, and he decides to pull into the pits, which the drivers will also have to do at least one time. It can be very easy to spin into pit lane. No penalties in practice, so that's why he's doing it. Might as well. Just practice stopping for the box. 2 people still driving. I believe it's just Handpflegegram that has to finish. Flavor Day has also finished, but has not returned to the garage, which is why he would be still driving. Will not be him, but his AI. And there you go. Practice session is over now. So if you are watching, you've seen this practice session, you see this list. What are your bets? Pan only less than 5/10 behind Runelink. Will he pull out a surprise? If not in qualifying, maybe in the race. Will we see a big crash? Put your predictions in the chat. I believe Runelink is first out, so we will go on board with him to see exactly what Monaco has to offer for a driver. First of all, we'll actually continue looking trackside 4 now, but once he starts his first flying lap, will be at the end of this out lap. We will see exactly what he can make this car do, and if the time is something to write home about. I believe he is closely followed by, I want to check that, it's probably Dustin. Yep, Dustin also in a yellow car, also good around this track. Let's see if his Monaco knowledge and skills translate. Now these two have done in the modern Formula 1 cars in this game a race around Monaco with damage, because that was crazy enough to turn that on. They were fighting, and I'm not sure if there were any passes between the two of them, but they were very, very close to each other. The only reason that fight really ended is because Dustin had a disconnect. His internet, or well, the connection between him and the server got lost by a complete accident, and yeah, unfortunately he could not finish the race as a result. Hopefully today we'll see a nice battle between these two as a rematch. Out of the cockpit you can see, very important to get this corner right, because if you don't, and I don't think Rooney did, you'll be slowed down just by that exit. We'll be trying to carry as much speed through here though, get the finish line as late as possible, get a good line through here. Brake as late as you can, but not too late, because you don't want to hit this wall too hard. Now up this hill, just small S's, get your alignment right. The really annoying bit about those S's is that it's right before this corner where you need to get your line right. If you're not careful with what you're doing, you can mess that up. Over a bump here, real life you see drivers go around it. Here there's no point. Very nice drift there, and then around this hairpin. Now how do they approach this? It is a slow turn. Mark seems to carry a decent amount of speed there, just enough that you can exit very nicely. A couple of lightning bugs, unfortunately, but into the tunnel we go. This is, you can hear a lift there, in fact, from Rooney. This is an actual corner in these cars. You do need to be careful how you take it, and he in fact missed the apex, so it will have lost a little bit of time there. You can take that curb quite a lot, it appears. Otherwise, it would not be doing that. It's the wall there, unfortunately, and you also see it kind of locks him into that wall. He couldn't really turn away. We will have lost a little bit of time there. Slightly misses the apex, but still a decent line. And then through Raskas. Looks like a double apex corner, but the last one is the most important. The line straight and get the line exactly right for this one. Maybe a little slow, maybe a little cautious, but he did get the line decently right. Let's see what we have here. It's a 145.9, and that is definitely not as fast as we've seen him do so far, considering the previous session, but it is a lot faster than Dustin right behind him. Pan is also behind that. I've got Carlo, I think he also finishes. Yep, there we go. He doesn't have such a good time, unfortunately. Mick Schleifer, though, we will want to keep an eye out on him. Is he good on this track? Well, unfortunately, that lap was not good enough. It was a 153.8. Still a lot of time to find towards Rooney. Handfligerkram is, in fact, faster, and Schwarzfahrer and Cavallor also join into the mix. Cavallor only a second behind Rooney. Second is a lot in motorsports, but with the competition here, look, if you come into a server, you drive for the first time, and you're within a second of a ruling, you are an absolute legend, and you should make this your hobby forever. Sabini first lap was a bit of a throwaway, will be improved momentarily. Actually, have a look there, see what the difference would be between a driver like Rooney and Sabini. Probably, I would say that the first lap was just a bit bad, and that can happen around Monaco. The mistakes are very easily made. You can see how close these walls are. You can see Also, when Roonlink hit the wall out of the apex of a fast left-hander, or on the outside of a fast left-hander after the tunnel, after the chicane that's coming up, he wasn't able to turn away. And it's like small things like that that can cost you a lot of time around here. So 17 seconds slower could also be a case of, I've made a couple mistakes, I'm gonna give this lap up to get out of the way of other people and try again. This lap looks a lot cleaner. Let's see if that translates into a good lap time. Outside line here, trying to go for a late apex, but misses apex a little bit. But still, I think it's a good run. Carries a lot of speed. A lot of speed through here. Ooh, but I think too much throttle there. Sends the car almost into the wall. Will not have any damage regardless. Across the line, big improvement. 12 seconds up on the previous lap time. Still 5.8 seconds off the leader, Roonlink. It's a lot better. Mick Schleifer has improved within a second now. Dustin is still sat where he is. And Roonlink will also be improving. They're currently going in or around the hairpin. I believe Dustin is a little bit further along through the chicane right now. These guys will be pushing. It's probably just full push for them at this point. I think the tyres last. They will not have to worry about that too much. Fuel makes your car slow, but by nature it's a little bit of a... It's got weight to it. It's not necessarily heavy. Got weight to it. Be a lesser proportion. Oh, but he is pushing. You can tell by the fact that he hits that wall and the way he does, pushing through there as well. I think he's shooting for an improvement. Is it big enough to move Roonlink off that P1 spot? It is. 3/10 ahead of him and a full second ahead of Mick Schleifer. And Mick Schleifer is, I think, early in his lap, but Roonlink will be at the end of his. Will he be able to improve? Looks like a clean run there, but I'm not sure if it's fast. It's going outside here might be the start of his run rather than the end. I think that's what we were looking at. Turn 1 then hits the apex very nicely. Oh, but hits the wall, pushing very hard. Not perfect, but when is a lap ever perfect? Quickly going to have to... There you go. Ooh, and he makes a mistake, and there you go. It's so easily done. During a race that's just hitting the wall, and now it is just a retirement. Very unfortunate. Dustin is still on the move. Schleifer no longer driving either for now. Vilside improves, and what a time it is, a 1:45.6. Very close to Dustin, but not quite enough to crown himself the pole sitter for now. An interesting list though. Cavallo is a decent way behind the leader, but close behind Mick Schleifer, who I think still has time in him. Pan is quite close behind Cavallo, and then we've got Mr. VR here that I should just remember the first name for him, because VR is definitely virtual reality. Metal Sim in P7. Got Schwarzfahrer in P8. I think he will want to move up, but P8 is decent enough. Got a decent gap to Carlos Vaisewina and Flavor Dave behind that. These are people that are struggling a little bit more, and for them it will be more of a test of patience and endurance, being as clean as possible, as opposed to pushing all the way. Wojciech still hasn't set a time. I'm not sure what that is caused by. There's going to be many reasons. But G-Foil currently 13th. Also will want to improve that time. Dr. Two-Face, I'm not sure why still in the pits. Might be his personal decision. Will not be optimal around Monaco. Wojciech hit the wall there. I think he might be pushing a little bit too hard. Hasn't set a banker yet as a result. Oh, and as we were looking away, I think Dustin... Oh, no, Dustin was still in P1. Feels like... Pan! Oh, hello. That's the odd one out. I knew there was an odd one out because Roonink wasn't 4th before, but Pan has a massively improved. I think he's improved by a full second there. 3rd place now, 145.8. We'll be very happy with that. But he's not fixed, and Roonink, I think he's starting a lap right now. Let's have a look. Oh, that might be a corner cut already, but I think it is fine. Just about. Let's quickly have another look at the cockpit cam. Roonink will be pushing as hard as he can here. It's 5 tenths to find, and I think he understands that he has that in him. And he will be trying to pull all of it out of there. If he can go 7 tenths faster, he's going to shoot for 7 tenths. That's how I know him. He's not going to take it easy. You can see that this car is being sent around the corners, drifting without compromise. Hit the apex there very, very nicely, and then this corner. It is indeed a corner in the tunnel. Take it as nicely as you can. That apex a lot nicer than we saw the first time around. Will be improvement over that, but I think that was also his fastest lap so far, in fact. Takes a lot of speed through there. That curb, it looks like you're cutting it. Look, if the game allows it, I'm not going to expect anyone to go through the footage and manually strike everyone. Because this is still mostly a casual series. Everybody has the same rules in the end, regardless. Raskas a bit cautiously, but this corner is an important one. Gotta get a car lined up as quickly as possible, get on the power. I think he's got a decent lap here. Is it faster, and is it fast enough? It is faster than everyone else by over 6 tenths. That is incredible. That is insane. That is a 144.760. And that is the Roonink we know and we dread. Dustin is behind that, but he is currently finishing a lap. Also full send there. You can see no compromise. The sparks tell the whole story there. Across the start finish line, then is it an improvement? Is it enough to remove Roonink from the throne? It is, but the gap is so small. It's 18 thousandths between them, and Veelside is also finishing their lap. What's it gonna be, boy? 3rd now. Is it gonna stay 3rd? It is not, in fact, an improvement at all. Where do we have Pan? Pan is currently entering the 3rd sector, going through the swimming pool chicane, carrying a lot of speed through there. Trying to line up perfectly for this. He has a decent line there. Not too much curb, so the car will be stable throughout. Now Raskas tried to get the optimal line. There is time for him to find. But it is a big jump to Dustin. Is he gonna make that? Is he gonna make Veelside, in fact? We'll have to see. He comes across the line momentarily. I think it was the start of his lap. But unfortunately no improvement for him just yet. Mick Schleifer then, early in his lap, will not be improving for a little bit. Cavallor. Well, I'm not sure if Mick Schleifer is the best of the rest today, which is a bit weird because he is the championship leader and has been absolutely dominant in terms of race pace. But he is nearly 2 seconds away from the current pole sitter. Cavallor, hopefully an improvement. Is it going to be faster than Mick Schleifer? Not right now. He's got one more lap in him, because after that lap we will be looking at a checkered flag displayed in front of everyone else, or everyone, period. Veelside, it will not be improving, currently into the pits and no time to improve. Dustin is setting up for a final lap. Pan is currently pushing, and I think he is on his lap, and I think he will be the first one to show us the time. Roonink is still in the upper section. 1st sector, 2nd sector. This is lower, near to the docks, to the water. It is a beautiful place. Haven't been, it's too expensive, but it is a beautiful place. According to the cameras. Ooh, but he hits that wall, and that messes up your alignment here, but I think he's just fine. Now, through here, that's a very pleasing run he has through there. The car ahead hopefully doesn't hold him up, but if they're on a run, You can't really ask them to move away. Gonna have to finish this run as it stands. Pan currently in 4th. Improves his time? Yes, no. What will it be? It's a no, unfortunately. Has to settle for 4th at best. Cavalo also currently improving, hopefully. Oh, but he takes a lot of curb there. He is pushing. He is really trying for a better lap time. But he is unfortunately not. So he decides to box. Pan is not driving. Roelink hasn't beaten Dustin. Dustin currently on pole, and I don't think there's anyone currently driving on track that can beat Dustin. So Dustin puts out the first statement, an intent to win the Monaco Grand Prix, a pole position. Very well done by Dustin. Very nice time as well, 144.742. Only beating out Roelink by 18 thousandths of a second. Those are amazing gaps. Very, very close. Oh, and unfortunately we had a disconnect, I think, at the end. G4, I don't think, is with us anymore. And that will mean that he will not be able to rejoin. As unfortunate as that is. These are our drivers right now. That's the grid. So let's quickly go through the list. We have Dustin on pole position. Hopefully set for his first win of the season. Who have just currently been hugged by Mick Schleifer. So anyone but Mick will be a first winner of the season. First other winner of the season. But Roelink has to settle for P2, but the gap was small and it will be nearly alongside at the start anyway. Let's see if he can make something happen. Veilside, first race, immediately in the top 3 after qualifying. Showed excellent pace here, and hopefully in the race he will be there to challenge Dustin and Roelink. Hopefully without any incidents between the top 3. Pan was a little bit behind after qualifying, but P4 it is for him, and he will be happy about that. Because he is beating Mick Schleifer, the dominant force in this championship so far, P5. Cavalo is in P6, followed by Metal Sim VR, first race for him. Schwarzfahrer in P8 currently. Of course, every chance to change that during the race. And then Wojciech in P9. Carlos Spicerwiener in P10. We've got Hamflegerkrem in P11. Anthony Sabini in P12. Flavor Dave is in P13. We've got Dr. Two-Face in P14, who did not qualify. As in, he did not set a qualifying lap. Back in the day, the old days, meaning that you didn't qualify meant that you didn't set a qualifying time good enough to even be considered for the starting grid. Now, I think we have... The time remaining is a complete lie. In 15 seconds we will definitely start the race, but probably a little sooner than that. The drivers have to agree to start. And that will happen hopefully soon. Because if the timer goes over, then somebody will immediately be disqualified. If that's not the case... I think somebody got disqualified. I think that's Dr. Two-Face. I will be without him. But the lights go out, and there we go. I think Roelink had a very, very good start there. He's got such a good start. He's already ahead of Dustin. Was a little bit of a kerfuffle there behind, but Roelink straight away takes the lead, and I think he's got a lot of momentum there. Dustin has been caught napping at the start, and Veilside already side by side with him around the outside. Not gonna be possible right now. Dustin has to fight for his life, but Pan is right behind there as well, and Mick Schleifer, of course, never count him out either. There's a very nice pack between the second place and fourth place. They will be fighting. And Wojciech, what an excellent start from Wojciech. I believe he started in 9th or 10th. He's currently in P6. That is an excellent improvement. Metal Sim VR has stayed in P7, I think. And Hamflegerkrem has also improved a lot. Carlo Spicerwiener has moved up a little bit. And Flavor Dave in P10. Oh, but there's a little bit of a kerfuffle there in the back. We've got Anthony Sabini in P11, Schwarzfahrer in 12th, and Cavalo. Schwarzfahrer and Cavalo, the biggest losers there in the sense that they lost a lot of places. Must have had a little bit of an incident at the start, and hopefully... Well, this is a long race. It is Monaco. Anything can still happen between these. Let's quickly see what you would see if you were driving here in the cockpit of Mick Schleifer then, who will be looking to overtake some of the drivers ahead. Currently 3.8 seconds behind Runelink, which is pretty substantial gap for the first lap, even if you're in P5. Runelink had such an excellent start. I think he's made a little bit of a mistake over the curb there, so Dustin is closing in again. And it's one small mistake like that in Monaco, you can have a second advantage. It's only temporary until you make the first mistake. Dustin right on his tail again. Veilside, in fact, kind of far back. And Mick Schleifer goes for a gamble. Now this, people, this is what I like to see. This is what I call a strategical gamble. You see, I think Mick understands that he is slower today in comparison to Dustin and Runelink, but he also maybe feels that Veilside and Pan will hold him up more than they will help him in any capacity. So as a result, he just removes himself from that fight. He does come out still in a little bit of traffic. We'll have to clear that. I'm not sure if it's the optimal strategy, but it does mean he's already done his stop. He doesn't have to do it again. Mick Schleifer will be out of sync from the leaders, and if the leaders battle a lot, he could benefit a lot. But we'll see. We'll see. The race is still long. There's space for strategical battles, there's space for errors, there's space for a lot of things. We are only in lap 2. Only 3 minutes have already gone. I say only 3 minutes, that's always a lot of time. Runelink taking a lot of speed through there, maybe not entirely legal. Dustin is on his tail, putting on pressure here and there. Veilside is very close behind. Oh, in Runelink we did see touch the wall there, maybe slightly out of line for that turn. Had to compromise maybe a little bit. He's alright now. Oh, but that's a big hit on the curb. Not at the right angle, I'm sorry, no. If you right click, it automatically asks you if you want quick. But Runelink currently nicely ahead. Behind that is Dustin, and Veilside is so close behind. Will be looking for a move. Not yet though. Wujek and Metal Sim currently in the box. Means Flavor Dave is promoted all the way from near enough last place to P5. Excellent job. Excellent job so far. Got Pan in P4. I think that's where he started. So he is just carrying on, doing what he can. And that can be more than good enough. Mick Schleifer he has already stopped, keep that in mind, and he's currently in 6th place. Now this is, I think, what he was hoping for. Flavor Dave is still an obstacle, but ahead of Flavor Dave is exactly nobody. Nobody's ahead of Flavor Dave. So if Mick clears Flavor Dave, he's got... Oh, I think... Flavor Dave maybe made a small mistake, lost a little bit of time. It wasn't a full spin, it looked like maybe a spin, but he was just out of the camera for a little while. He's alright. He continues driving, but he lost a little bit of time. Once Mick clears Flavor Dave, he will have free reign. He will be able to push as hard as he can. If he's able to catch up enough to Runelink and Dustin, he will be in the fight for the lead straight up. Another fight that is interesting to watch is a Veilside here. We do still have that strategical element. If a Veilside manages to keep up with Dustin, and Dustin in his turn keeps up with Runelink, that strategical battle might fall in favor of Veilside. I'm saying it will, but it might. Look up downfield, we do have a little bit of a pack forming maybe behind. The Flavor Dave has already been cleared by Mick Schleifer. That was really quick. Now Mick will be able to drive his true pace. 147.5 is only the start of the leader's worries. And he will be pushing as hard as he can for the next 24 minutes. Will not have to stop, will not have to worry about that. If it works out, if Dustin manages to take the fight to Runelink, which he is currently doing as we speak, they might slow each other down just enough that Mick Schleifer benefits and wins the race anyway, and we can all do the opposite of rejoicing, because Mick Schleifer is dominating the season. But if he does it again with a strategical call like that, fair play to him. Pan is losing touch a little bit with the leaders, but he is still in a world of his own. As long as the people behind him continue battling, do not display the pace that is necessary to keep up with Pan, he will be alright. He will be completely alright. Mick is still losing time to the leaders. The leaders might just be a touch too fast today. Let's see who will be across the line first. And Dustin is close to a second behind Roeling. It's a little bit slower than that though. I think Roeling maybe made a small mistake. Maybe it was Dustin, maybe it was Phil's side. I heard somebody touching the rails with a certain amount of passion. No damage though, so that is alright. But it won't be fast. Big is still trying to push as hard as he can. The closest battle we might have right now is for 6th place. It will be between Schwarzfahrer and Cavallo. Cavallo looking around the inside, out of Raskas. Not gonna be possible as it stands. We'll have to continue trying maybe elsewhere. Well, that is a bit of a mistake from Schwarzfahrer. You can see immediately Cavallo is straight up on the back of him. Schwarzfahrer made a mistake in sliding through the corner there. You could see he was not pointing the right direction. Had to straighten the car manually. And as a result, Cavallo's very, very close behind him. Schleifer is a little bit away from them, but Big Schleifer is not keeping up the pace with the leaders, but he's still faster than the drivers behind him. And Cavallo actually makes a move right there. Sleeping for a moment there, and so was Schwarzfahrer. He didn't have a good exit out of there, and Cavallo immediately benefits. Does not need a second invitation. Hello and goodbye. Brake correctly for the chicane. He does. Oh, but he turns it maybe a little bit early. Has to cut the corner. That might be a warning. Get a couple of warnings, and then you get a drive-through penalty, which is devastating around Monaco, especially because you cannot overtake. But if it overtakes you in the pits, will be ahead of you, possibly permanently. Cavallo immediately shows that he has more pace. Where that came from. Immediately starts pulling away. Starts pushing maybe a little bit too hard, but as long as he keeps it out of the wall, doesn't make any major mistakes, he will be alright. Schwarzfahrer does still have Wujek behind him to worry about, but Metal Sim also is very close behind. First time we see Metal Sim on the track with us, as far as I am aware, or at least in this championship. He is very close behind. We'll be looking for a move left or right around the car. Simply not so easy here at Monaco. The walls are definitely something you have to keep in mind. You can't just stick your nose in and hope to God that they leave the space. That if it's just a nose, they don't even have to. If they do not see you, if they do turn into you, they will ruin their own race, but yours just as much, and just lose time instead of getting the position. Metal Sim staying very calm, cool, and collected, trying to do his best lines. Dustin right here with Roeling in his sights. Oh, but Roeling makes a mistake, hits the wall. Oh, and that is not good for the braking performance. And the car it will be okay. He will not have any damage, but wait, was that a hardware failure? What happened to Roeling there? Gentlemen, I think we may have had a hardware failure. And I think he's removed himself from the race. Don't know what happened there, but that didn't look natural. That He did hit the wall. I say that's not good for braking, but I'm not even sure he was braking there. I'm not sure his wheel was connected there. That was not natural. And that puts Dustin into the lead. It's kind of the opposite of what happened when we did the Formula 1 race where Dustin disconnected. This time I think, my leading theory, Ruling's wheel disconnected. Now it's all up to Dustin to keep up the pace. He does have very good pace, 145.9. Nobody is going to match that as it stands. But it is not entirely free. If he makes mistakes, then Mick Schleifer can get closer. And he will. If Dustin makes a mistake. And Mick Schleifer doesn't have to box anymore. He has already done that on lap 1. He saw the pit entry, decided I would like to go through that, thank you very much. He never has to do that again. 147.0 will not be enough to beat Mick Schleifer on pace. Mick also has to prove it. He is capable of beating Dustin on pace. 147.0 last time around, this lap around. A 147.6, ooh, that is not as fast. Cavalo, in fact, last lap was faster. This lap, even faster. There you go, very good lap for Cavalo. Far behind, did not quite have the pace to keep up with Cavalo. And Wujek is behind, not too far behind, but still behind. Metal Sim is keeping his position, keeping collected, as I always say. Got Anthony Sabini, P9, and Flicker in P10, and those two are also battling. And for Flavor Dave in a relatively distant 11th, 9 seconds. It's about one mistake at Monaco, so everything can happen there. Honestly, keeps it on track. Very well catch up, and he is in fact faster this lap than Anthony Sabini by nearly 200 seconds. If he keeps that up, he will be catching them. But unfortunately, I think this is the first time this season where we maybe have, I say maybe, cautiously, because you're looking at the screen and Metal Sim is there with Wujek, but it's starting to look a little bit processional. This is the nature of Monaco. Oh, and we do see a mistake there. I believe that's from Schwarzfahrer, who has lost a lot of time compared to these two. He is in, well, striking range is very, very short in Monaco, but he is close enough that one mistake can cost him a position. Metal Sim decides not to send it, absolutely. Decides to keep his car where he thinks it should be. The right approach. Schwarzfahrer is right there. If you decide to have a crash with Wujek, you can forget about overtaking Schwarzfahrer at any point in the race. And it's simply not happening anymore. Three are currently at the closest people battling. Though we do have a... Ooh, as we go sideways with Wujek there. He was inspecting the wall and it looked fine, so he decided to continue. No need for a correctional bump there. If we look back into the start of Sector 1, we got Anthony Sabini defending from Hans Vleerkamp, who was closer when I think I clicked the button, but has lost a little bit of time since then. This is a very close battle. I think Wujek going sideways there has invited Metal Sim to try maybe. He looks but does no move here. Wujek brakes nicely. There's a really good line there, good speed. And we'll be looking at Schwarzfahrer as well. Pan goes into the pits for his mandatory stop. Bit of a random spot halfway through the race, but That will optimize his tyre life at least. Wojciech sends it into the wall a little bit. That can compromise the line through there, but it was out of the wall early enough. That wasn't a problem. I think Wojciech also has to deal with the physical obstacle of Schwarzfahrer ahead of him. Schwarzfahrer isn't all that slow. He does push this car as much as he can, around this track as much as he can. He's definitely not quite got the pace of Wojciech and Mittelsen. But at Monaco, sometimes that literally doesn't matter. Oh, but Wojciech does make a mistake there. He hits the wall. Mittelsen has a look, but he decides against it after Wojciech doesn't leave him the space, and he doesn't have to. Mittelsen looks around the inside, but is just not on the move there, just showing himself into the mirrors. And Wojciech is having a difficult time. Another big slide. He looks around inside, turns it to the outside. There's just nothing there. Wojciech is feeling the pressure from Mittelsen behind, and as a result, really wants to get past Schwarzfahrer right about now, please. He is thinking, I'm sure. He will try to get a better line through this corner. Is it gonna be enough? Schwarzfahrer will have to defend that. Mittelsen looking, but there's nothing there. Schwarzfahrer is defending. He is holding on by not much, just enough. These are the most stressful moments when you are in the middle of that sandwich. Now Wojciech knows, he knows that he has the pace over the Schwarzfahrer. That much is clear to him. But this is Monaco, where that can sometimes simply mean nothing. If you are not able to go past, but Schwarzfahrer has to go into the pits, and there you go. He was one of the two people that lost a lot of time at the start, so could be forgiven for thinking it already boxed, but because that's what I thought. But he hadn't, and now Wojciech is finally free to do his space, and he will want to do his space as much as he can, try and run away from Mittelsen behind, who will also have to push to keep up. And now it becomes interesting. Wojciech has an opportunity to show that he does indeed have that pace that he knew he had. Was nearly certain. And if he doesn't prove it, then there will be a Mittelsen that benefits. And Wojciech makes a mistake. And as I said, mistakes in Monaco really easily made. Under braking, he turned it a little bit of a dodgy way. Tries to compensate immediately with a big drift through there, but simply not possible. Mittelsen was there. He just existed in that position, so there was nothing there, unfortunately. Now that battle could very well evaporate. Mittelsen has beaten Wojciech after a mistake from Wojciech, but equally that can go the other way again. Before now, Mittelsen has got P6 in his first outing with semi-slick racing in the Classic Day Championship. Very nicely done so far. It's absolutely sending it as well. Yeah, people will be pushing much as they can. Wide exit through there, try to get a perfect line and go on the power. I've just noticed that Dustin just had a very slow lap. I am not sure what happened there. I don't think he boxed. I think he made a big mistake. And as a result, we have Philside in the lead. Now, I've said this earlier, near the start, Philside not necessarily the favourite. It's always going to be between Ruling and Dustin for the win. But, mistakes in Monaco are easily made. Strategy is still a thing. And now Philside is in P1. That is big. That is really big. As that's going on, I'm gonna see if I can ask Ruling what happened. Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, Dustin also still has the box, but Veilside decides that now is the time that he is going to box. I'm not sure if that is optimal, because I think Dustin has better pace, and then you probably want to keep him behind you for as long as you can, but equally you don't want to be undercut. But equally, you could think if Dustin tries to do the undercut, then you are, you know, then he might get into traffic. But the good news is, and that's 3 goods, because it's very important, Veilside is ahead of Mixlifer. That is so important, because Mixlifer was always going to be a factor. After his very early stop, he does not have to stop again, he can simply continue. So, his 3rd position is currently where he stands, and Dustin, the only person to still have to stop, maybe apart from Cavalo, who the very rotten starter, maybe that is just where he stands before stop. Dustin still has to stop, and Veilside now needs to prove, he has to show his pace, show that he can beat Dustin in a fair and equal fight of speed. Dustin will have to think. Dustin has to consider, does he want to box now, or does he continue? Does he think the Veilside is faster than him? Because I think it's going to be determined by that. If Dustin thinks he is faster, he will continue driving. If he doesn't think he's faster, he will want to emerge either as close behind Veilside as possible, or in fact ahead. He's currently continuing driving, so he will be gambling on simply being faster. He is pushing this car, and you can see it as well. That car is being sent from apex to apex, from wall to wall, without compromise, and it's 1:45.7. That is a very good time. And if you can reproduce that lap after lap after lap, he will be set. It's not so easy. Veilside's lap, he will not look spectacular, because I think it was an outlap, 149. That was absolutely an outlap, but Mixlifer, close behind, has only set a 146.6, and that is considerably slower than Dustin. I think Dustin is safe from Mixlifer, and because Veilside is close ahead, I think he's also safe from Veilside. But, of course, no guarantees anywhere, because Dustin also made a mistake earlier in this race, let's not forget. Could easily happen again. Wojciech has lost touch a little bit with Metal Sim VR. He'll do an excellent job for his first outing. Oh, and he makes a big mistake. Ooh, that's the kind of mistake you don't want to make. Too much speed into turn 1. Straight into the wall, and thank the Lord for the organisers. The damage is off today, because that would have been a total disaster. Schwarzweiler is a little bit behind, has lost a lot of time through his box, to be fair. Does a lot of time at the start and hasn't really been able to recover that. Cavalo, I think he still has to stop, currently 4th. He'll probably emerge right around Metal Sim, I think it is. Don't forget again. I think he still has to stop, will emerge around Metal Sim, and that's going to be a close one to watch before the end. Or somebody just letting Veilside and Mixlifer by. I believe it was Beanie. Yep, at least Beanie being a very courteous driver there. It's what you would like to see. Now Veilside coming up to finish his first complete lap after boxing, and this is when we can truly measure if his lap times are going to be enough. A 147.2 is simply not enough. It is simply not going to be enough, because Dustin is 7/10 faster than that. And that is a big gap. Dustin stopped. I think Michael is telling me that Dustin has already stopped. Has already done a pit stop. So that will be in Twitch chat. So if you're confused on YouTube, there's a good chance. I'm not sure. I can't verify this. It doesn't say anything about that. But there's a good chance that Dustin has already stopped. And to be fair, he had lost a lot of time earlier. But I'm not sure. Not entirely sure. He might still have to stop. This does look around the right gap for stop. Feels like still ahead of McSlifer, but McSlifer is still putting on the pressure, fair to him. Didn't really look like he had the pace after qualifying, but he is still close behind. The gap is slowly growing. I think Vilsain still has the pace over him, but it is not a monstrous amount, and McSlifer is pushing this car as much as he can. With 2 minutes 50 remaining, this will be the moment of truth. Dustin doesn't box this time around, and I think we're certain Cavalo does box now. He still had to. Got Pan behind, who is coming up, will be overtaking, but the interesting thing is Metal Sim VR. Now, it's not a long pit lane, so he is very close physically, but I think Cavalo is already driving out. He's already up to speed, and Metal Sim is still behind. So unless Cavalo makes a mistake, I think he's got him. In fact, I think Cavalo is looking at Pan. I think Pan made a little bit of a mistake on the entry there. Had to compromise his run. Will have lost a little bit of time there, and Cavalo will be foaming at the mouth for another beautiful overtake around Monaco. He's done one earlier in the race. Maybe he can do another one very soon. Would be the icing on the cake for him. Quickly checking up on Dustin. He's coming around the final corners. I've heard people say he's already boxed. I've heard myself say he hasn't boxed. He's not boxing this time around, so I think we can safely say that he simply isn't boxing anymore. He probably already has done it, but it's been so quick that I didn't even see it. Like the wind. Who's just been excellent today. Very, very good pace. Entering the last lap of the race. Quickly looking at Cavalo, because Cavalo is really close behind Pan. So he is pushing. You can see just by how much the car lifts over that yellow sausage curb. You can see also by how much the car shakes on acceleration. This will be the last lap, the last chance that he has to make an overtake happen. Looks at the inside here already, actually. Turn 1 maybe. We haven't seen any moves here, and that's not the first one today. Well, this was the last opportunity for one, so unfortunately no moves into turn 1 today. He's not outside of the start. Maybe here then he looks, but there's simply no space. Has a little bit of a touch. He does have overspeed. He is telling Pan to just get on with it. Cavalo has a lot of speed. Looking around the inside, simply no space. Now on the hairpin, we've seen people try it and fail. It's simply too difficult there, but out of this corner we have seen Cavalo make a move. Is he going to do it again? It was out of a mistake from Schwarzfahrer at that time, but Pan does not make the same mistake. He is holding on for dear life. He is taking a very good line there, but Cavalo not so much. A little bit wide on exit and will not be able to stage a move through here. Dustin wins the race in dominant fashion. Nearly I think well over a pit stop ahead of Vilsain at this point. And McSlifer will be close behind him. Not very close, to be fair. There's a decent gap. Vilsain takes P2 and a Slifer P3, but who is going to take P4? Currently looks like Pan. There's not many opportunities for Cavalo to overtake, but there's every opportunity for Pan to make a mistake, but he is so clinical through that corner. That looks so brilliant how he took that. And out around Raskas then, he looks brilliant. No touchy of the wall there on exit through this corner. Does he hit the apex? Not physically, but he does hit it. And through here, he is simply ahead of Cavalo, and Cavalo has to take P5 instead of P4, but he will be okay with that after that start, I'm sure, and Pan will be very satisfied with a brilliant P4. Metal Sim VR, first outing here, P6 already, very well done. Wujek has to settle for 7th. A couple of mistakes today. Maybe wasn't quite happy with the car around the track. P7 it is. Then we have Schwarzfahrer, who is behind him. Made a couple of mistakes today. Has to settle for P8. And I forgot his name. Something with Handpflegegem in P9. A couple of retirements, a disqualification from Dr. Two-Face. It's just because he didn't start. He may have had his own stream running there in German. But yeah, that is what we were looking at today. That was a brilliant race again, and it's Monaco. These cars have shown a good amount of racing. There has been a processional bit in the middle, as is tradition at Monaco. But there were some good fights to watch there, and Cafalors, I think for me, he is the driver of the day. He started out pretty well in qualifying, a decent result in qualifying. But got into an incident, unfortunately, I think, at the start. But he fought as well, away, well back to P5, not really overtaking. Yeah, there you go. You can see in the chat here in the bottom left, the wheel disconnect and then a frowny face. I think, it doesn't say the name, so we can be sure that the person who wrote that disconnected before the end of the session. I think there was Roonink. So unfortunately, Roonink had to settle for a mechanical failure on the sim rig. The rest had a brilliant race. Philside will be very happy with the result as well. I think he deserved it. It's been excellent to see them race today. Join me again. I believe it is in 2 weeks. Let me double check that. Yes, next time we'll be around the Nordschleife. We've got Nordschleife 1971 set for that day. It will be on my birthday, in fact, 10th of January. My birthday is on a Tuesday. 2 weeks from now. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you will have a very happy New Year. If you are watching this on Twitch, do not forget to click the follow button. If you haven't already, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe for the remainder of this season, which will be cast mostly by me. Only Watkins Glen will be done by a guest caster. And but the rest of them, Nordschleife, but Adelaide after Watkins Glen and Spielberg after that, they will all be on this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time.